Good morning, everybody. We are in parashat Truma. One of the interesting things in parashat Truma is that this is a beginning of a whole list of parashot that all talk about the tabernacle and the details of the details, how you build it, and all the details of around it, surround it, inside, and all the holy tools that we have inside. And the way we look at it, it looks like God wants us to build it, like it's written also in the parasha. Whatever, everything I'm showing you, the way the Mishkan is built, so you should do. And the Torah is forever. So what does it mean? What, we are supposed to build the Mishkan? Even if we're talking about building something, not going to be the Mishkan, the tabernacle is going to be the temple. So what's it all about? And why are all those details when we know that the Torah is very stingy about giving details? Like one word can teach us so many things, and here another detail, and some things are being repeated, and the question is why? What's the whole idea behind it? So the idea is behind it is God is asking us to make a temple, to build a temple that He can dwell where? It says Shachanti betocham, not betocho. It's not written betocho, which is singular. It's written in plural. Betocham. And what does it mean? The building, the structure, that's not what's important. What is important that we should look at the structure and learn from this how to build the Mishkan inside us, because God wants to be inside of each one of us. The Shekhinah wants to be in each one of us. And that's the idea of Asuli Mikdash Shachanti Betocham. And that's the idea. There's so many things to learn from all those details. And those details reveal the klal. They reveal the whole. They reveal the whole idea behind it. They don't make the klal, they don't make the whole, they just discover it. And the more details, it's easier for us to find out what it's all about, because we also are details in this big story. And details that have to be connected. And that's the idea of the temple. We see that Ve'asu is also Ve'asu li mikdash, Ve'asu in plural. But most of the details except with the covenant, all of them are written in singular. Ve'asuli mikdash says this is a mitzvah of everybody, like each on all those details that vasita, vasu, that you should this and this and that, all of them have to be connected, and then you have this temple. This is the beauty of what the Torah is trying to tell us with the Mishkan and all the details. It's not the physical point, it's the inside point. It's like we had this pole that goes inside the walls of the temple. And this was Bari Hatichon. He was in the middle and he was going inside the poles. You couldn't see it from the outside. And it was bending in the corner to the other side in a miracle. And what is this? What is this all about? To tell us those poles that were in the Mishkan, all those poles were from the wood, the trees that Avraham Avinu he put them in, he planted them, and then Am Yisrael took them with them wherever they went, in order to remind them that they will, Be'ezrat Hashem, come back to Eretz Israel to build the temple. And in the meanwhile, they are now building the tabernacle in the desert, and this center pole that is going inside is very interesting. Why? He owes the whole thing that it won't collapse, and you don't see it from the outside. It's inside. And this is chesed, because Avraham Avinu is chesed, giving, and giving. And this is the secret that holds everything. It's the Torah, which is the inside. As we says, it's the inside which is important, not the outside. Like today, I was talking about people, that this rabbi was for quite a long time, was visiting his grandmother in an old age home, which more an institute than an old age home, that we know that what we see there is not always very nice to see. And then when he goes out, he sees on the way there are all those beauty polos, how do you say, like you paint, you dye your hair, you know those lips that people do, and all those beauty treatments. And he thinks to himself, look at them. They are doing all those things which are temporary. Eventually they will end exactly like the old people in this old age in this institute. And this is what people sometimes don't realize. they want people to like them. So they think that if they look nice, they clothe nice, and if they look young and pretty, people will love them. And, you know, the real truth is, at the end of the day, that's not what's going to make people love you. And nevertheless, sometimes they do things like those lips that they blow them up. I'm thinking, what is beauty about it? I don't know. And the end, eventually it will go anyway. So what is going to last? What is something that lasts forever and people will like you because of it? Yirat Hashem, the fear of God, the inside, the pure inside that you have. Because people like to be with people that are pure from inside, that have Yirat Shamayim, that go with the Torah, that go with God. People love them, and you can see also the power it gives to people. See, and it doesn't matter what age they are. You can go to the old age home and see this scholar sitting there and learning. And it can be, I knew somebody was with my father in an old age home. He was 103. And you know, he didn't look it at all. He looked like 80, maybe. And he was full with life. From what? From the Torah. And everybody liked him because they know that this guy is trustable. If you go in the way of the Torah, if your inside is pure, people love you. It's not the outside that goes, it's temporary. And this is a big lesson. And this bariach, this pole that was going in the middle, it's inside. You couldn't see it, but that's what holds everything. The inside, the chesed, the purity. It reminds me when I was once at the seashore and I saw kids playing with the sand. They were trying to build something in the sand, but as you know, when you use the sand by itself, nothing happens, that spills. So eventually one of the kids brought water and then they built this beautiful palace in the sand. Now when you look at it, what do you see? You don't see the water, you see the sand. And you don't realize that without the water, that the inside, there would nothing be there. It cannot hold. And what is water? Water is life. Water is Torah. And this is exactly the point of the Bariach HaTichon. This is the way we learn from the Mishkan and all those details, beautiful things, how to build ourselves, how to behave. And you know, there's so many details of what we see here. For example, it's written about the Luchot HaBrit. The Luchot, the Torah, it has to be inside the covenant, and you were not allowed to take it out from the shrine that it was in, or covenant. How do you say? Aron HaEdut. And it's written twice. And the question is, what's the meaning of it? The meaning of it is that some people think that when they're on holiday or on business trip, they can take the Torah out and do, round the corners and, let's say, do compromises. And that's exactly what the Torah is telling us. You cannot do compromises. You have to be with the Torah always. It doesn't matter where you are and what you are. You have to remember that you are Jewish. You going with the Torah. That was the Mishkan. The temple is something that stays in one place. But the covenant, the tabernacle was something that moves, to tell us that when you move, the Torah moves with you. Doesn't matter where you are. And there is also this lesson that we are here, as we said, in a temporary time, that we have to use the time cleverly to know what is important and what is not important. And this we said with the beauty parlors and the inside and the outside. How do you build yourself? To look nice from the outside, or you look nice from the inside? And by the way, it's no problem to look nice outside, but the main thing is that you need to have it from inside. The purity has to come from inside. And by the way, it shines also out. Moshe Rabbeinu was the level that his face was shining because of his holiness. There's also one thing I want to, when people learn the Torah, when you're talking about details and more details, says, God, I'm just going to read it. Or some people take one detail and stick into it and learn what this guy said, the other side, and they don't move on. Like they stay only on one detail. Chafetz Chaim gave on this a story. It's like this guy took all his money and bought this beautiful hat. They cost him a fortune. Unfortunately, he wasn't left with no money. He didn't leave any money to buy clothes. So what What did he do? He had this beautiful hat, going in the street, but except of this hat, he was naked. Everybody laughed at him. What are you doing? And this is somebody who takes one details and tries to dig in and doesn't move on. So at the end of the day, he's got nothing. He's got only these details, but everything else he hasn't got. From the other side, there's also the other side of the picture. When we just read it without knowing what it's all about, not learning anything about it, this is like this guy who took all his money and bought cheap clothes. But really cheap clothes. A lot of clothes, but cheap. And every time that he wears one of those, let's say a shirt or a trousers, the minute he moves his hand or his leg, it's torn. It tears. It's finished. In other words, the end of the day is the same thing with the other guy. He is naked because what he bought is rubbish, doesn't hold. So this is the guy who just reads it without even understanding what it's all about. So what do? You find the middle way. The middle way is to learn the Torah in a way that you learn the details, go into it to understand what it's all about, and you go on. If there is one detail that you want to concentrate on here and there, no problem. But don't forget, you need to have all the other details also, as much as you can. Not concentrate only on one detail. From the other side, don't just say, okay, so I'm going to read everything. You don't understand what you're reading. That is also no good. And we all have the brain that God gave us, and we understand what we're talking about. And this is very important, especially now when we talk about the tabernacle and all the details of the details. Because even the measurements teach us a lesson.